Bang! Neeves Knives. I'm Jared, and we got the Twosun Ts262 TEPE design. TEPE always has his designs numbered by Twosun, and it is an M390. Now, if you don't know, I just recently did, I don't have them both out here, but I do have the Twosun TS177 out here. Which is another TEPE design that I love. I did a comparison between this one and the titanium and liner lock version, the 328. I did a comparison between these two, but it's also a TEPE design. So you can kind of see TEPE's designs in his knives. And this was one I was really wanting to get my hands on. I want to thank Cue Ball. Thank you very much, man. I really appreciate you sending me so many knives to check out, especially, man. Some of these I've been wanting to get my hands on for a long time. I really, really appreciate it. And this is one I've bid on and lost because I wanted to get so bad. However, I did not win. So, you win some, you lose some. Now, this one is pretty awesome. I do like this one quite a bit. I'll be honest, I do. I do like TEPE's designs. He is a USA designer. And the ergos are, this is hand melting comfortable. It is insane how comfortable this knife is. When you look at it, it's flat. So you wouldn't expect it to be as comfortable as it is from flat scales, but this is, it feels rounded on these edges. And since it goes from thinner here to thicker here, for some reason, man, you just feel like you have so much leverage into your palm right here. Man, it's very, very comfortable. Then you still have the option to come up here nice and close to the blade, or take advantage of push cuts right here. Now, when you look at the spine of it, it's basically straight. So for push cuts, man, you get a lot of leverage into push cuts. And, the geometry of this M390 blade, beautiful, decent satin finish. It does get a little fingerprinty, but not as bad as their Sandvik steels. Their Sandvik steels tend to get really fingerprinty with their satin finish. But the geometry of this blade, it's not as slicey as some Twosuns, but it's also not bad. It's just under 20 thousandths. I think I measured this one at like 19 thousandths behind the edge. But, it is a flat ground blade, not a short. It is a slightly tall, so, you do have decent geometry out of it. And then when you couple with these ergos, very good cutting performance. You get a lot of pressure into your cuts, a lot of pressure into your push cuts, and slicing with this thing is fantastic. It does work really, really good. So, the cutting performance and geometry, the only way it could be better is if it was thinner behind the edge and had better cutting geometry, but it does work out great. No complaints on it cutting. And it's, if you look at it, it kind of angles downward, right? If you look at it, like even if I hold it flat, you can see how it kind of angles downward. Well, that kind of benefits you in cutting, especially in the utility cuts. You have this rounded section right there, nice and comfortable in the palm. Even if you come all the way up like this, like it's just nice and comfortable for utility cuts. And it's got the blade shape. It's got the blade shape to back it up. The tip is not really thick, but it's also very durable, so you're not going to worry about chipping or breaking it. But man, does it do utility cuts good. Utility cutting is fantastic with this thing. It works great, nice and precise. You get a lot of pressure and leverage down into the cut, and the leverage pulling back through your cuts is really, really good. So I'm very, very happy with both ways of cutting with this knife. Even if you wanted to do like a sideways cut for whatever reason, like say if you have a box in front of you, you're going to open it up like this, it's very comfortable in this grip right here. It just, so the grip and ergos on this thing winds up taking this thing up another notch, with its geometry. So next thing, the action is really good. It is a liner lock. Let's take a look at the liner lock really quick, because the liner is in set. There's no liner on this side. It's only on the one side, which also makes this thing very light. does have a full back spacer pretty much and a lanyard hole, but the liner is screwed in to the carbon fiber. So it is very light, and the action is going to be good for lefties or righties. Reverse flicking action is on point. You have a great point of contact with the hole. So like just naturally you can grab it and bang. It's very nice. Thumb flick, same thing. A lot of knives that are really good with reverse flicking tend to not be the best with the thumb flicking. This one is really good with both of them. Kind of like the 129, if you guys know that model. You know, that one's really good with the thumb flick or the reverse flick. But like I said, left-handed, you get the same thing. I'm not left-handed, but I can easily manipulate this knife left-handed. Now, you also have a decent detent. I would call this heavy, not strong. You don't want strong with the front flipper. You want more of a lighter detent, but this isn't light. It's just, it seems heavy in a good way. The front flipper works fantastic. Always a deployment on this thing is really good. You have the spine right here, which your fingers just wrap right around, so your thumb, you know, easily finds the top flipper. And you have the jimping that goes up the front and around the back. So you can just kind of go right over the top of that corner and go like that, or from the front like that. Now, if you want to do like the reach around thing, it's also pretty easy because your finger tends to get gripped right here and over. You can't go like this though. You do have to reach over to get it. So front flipping action is incredible. Reverse flicking action and thumb action is amazing. All right, let's check out the drop and unlocking it. So the liner is easy to get to. They do have a nice cutout. It is chamfered, and the detent ball is a little late. However, it does have a ramp, so you can swing past it if you want, and there's no flipper tab in the way. So you can easily let it go all the way down, and it's pretty much fall shutty. You might have to do a little bit of encouragement, but not much. If the flipper tab was there, or if you did have a flipper tab in the way, I would be complaining about the detent, but it's not, so I don't worry about it at all. It's very, very, very smooth on the drop. Now, if we look at the stop pin, it is an, see if I can get it to come up. Probably not. Okay, so they have a metal plate right here that has a groove right here because the stop pin is on the blade. You probably can't see it, but it's in there and it's on the blade and it's an internal stop pin. Now, when we move on to the clip and carry, this clip works great. This clip works fantastic. And look at that crosscut section of carbon fiber. Holy cow, does that shine. I really would love to see them do some crosscut section because I'm kind of bored with this, you know, kind of carbon fiber. I like this side of the carbon fiber. See all those, the waves? I love that. That's so good looking to me. So eye appealing to me. I'd love to see that on this side. Anyways, the clip works great in and out of the pocket. No issues. I do like the clip. It is a small clip, and in the hand, you know, you don't really feel it because it's so small and it's contoured. So you don't really, you know, it doesn't bother you whatsoever. Not at all. Like I don't feel it. I don't even think I feel it at all. But, you know, in the pocket and, you know, in and out of the pocket, it works great. Slides in really nice and easy, slides out nice and easy. It has good amount of tension, and it's plenty deep too. You know, no complaints on how deep it is or anything like that. It works great. Now the fit and finish and everything seems to be done very well. The spine of the blade is, you know, partially crowned. It is rounded on the top, which is really nice. Everything's fit together really nicely. Now, it's not going to be a hard use knife. It is locked up very solid, but the liner is screwed in right here under the clip. You see those screws? So those screws screw in the liner for the liner lock. And since it's screwed into carbon fiber, it's not going to be a hard use knife. You know, so I do wish they would have made it just a little bit thinner of a grind because of that reason, not because it doesn't cut great, not because of anything like that, just because, you know, it is a very light duty knife in a way. You know, when you screw liners into, even though carbon fiber is very tough, I don't want to make it seem like carbon fiber is not tough. It's very light, it's very strong, it's very tough. But when you're screwing in, you know, a relatively thin liner into carbon fiber, you know, you never want to use that type of build hard use. And I'm not saying this is a hard use grind. I'm saying this is a great way to take advantage of a crazy good slicer. So I guess I would consider that a negative thing when it's really not that big of a deal because it works so good. But, you know, I would have liked them to take advantage of that. Another negative is that, you know, Cue Ball had to work on this. I didn't ask him exactly what he had to work on, but I guess when he got it, he did have to mess around with it a little bit. I'm guessing with centering or something like that. But now it's great. It is great. It works great. It is nice and centered. It's nice and strong. However, it did come undone on me after flipping it. It might be slightly going off. I'm going to put some Loctite in there, but that's not that big of a deal. That's just a little bit of Loctite. Once I, you know, turn the pivot, it's right back to centered. But, you know, since he did mention that he did have to mess with it a little bit, I'm going to use that as a negative. I'm not saying you're going to have that issue. I'm saying he had that issue. And then, you know, the screw started backing out on me. Not a big deal. I'm not even saying that's a negative. I'm just saying that happened. And I'm going to have to Loctite the pivot. But in my opinion, any knife with tight tolerances, you should Loctite the pivot. Remember, these parts are fit tight together, and we're talking about moving parts. So if you want tight tolerances with smooth moving parts, expect to Loctite the hardware. Just use blue Loctite. It's made to come back apart. Next thing is this plunge grind. I think this was a great time for them to take advantage of beautiful finger / sharpening choil. So the plunge grind starts right here. Come on. It starts right here where my thumb is, and it ends about right there. So I'm not saying they didn't give you anything to sharpen off, because they did, but I would have liked to have seen all of this able to sharpen. So I would like to see the plunge grind start here and end like right there. That would have been great. But instead it ends about right there, which isn't horrible. They did still give you something to take off, but I like a knife to give me the ability to lay back the edge. If I chip the tip, I have plenty of steel to remove. You know, lots of those things. I like, you know, to be able to get every bit of sharpening I need to get out of that knife without ever having to worry about getting a smile on my blade. So, and you know, it hits the stone. There's lots of reasons why it's a negative thing. This one is still okay, but I'm just saying, you know. Other than that, really, man, this thing's top notch. I like it quite a bit. And all my negatives are, if you can't tell, are ridiculously nitpicky. It's a great knife. It is. This is definitely a winner in my opinion, and is one of the better options for a Twosun. I think Twosun has about like 12 to 20 knives out of 300 or so that are just above the rest. This one happens to be one of the good ones. I'm not saying it's the best one, and I'm not saying it's even number 5 or number 10. I'm just saying if I had to pick 20 best Twosuns, this would definitely be in that 20 somewhere. Even if it was number 19 or 20, it would be there somewhere. It's a good one. I like it a lot. These ergos, man, it's hard to beat a knife when you get it in hand, when you pick it up and it just melts in your hand. You know, that security of knowing you have a nice, comfortable knife. Now, you know, during cutting, you do have to watch out not to get stuff caught in the choil, but it's very easy to put your finger in the way. And yeah, great knife. Great knife. All right, guys. I love you guys. Cue Ball, thank you, brother.